If you struggle to finish Darce chokes, maybe you have short arms, maybe you feel like your arms are burning out, here's a few variations to help you with that. My name's Nathan Haddad. I'm a black belt under Helio Seneca, and we're gonna look at some variations that I like to use on a Darce choke from somebody shooting a single leg or just somebody in the turtle position. So I'm gonna start here. My opponent has my right leg in a standard single leg with his head on the inside. I'm gonna take my left hand and post on his shoulder, and my right hand is gonna whizzer here. I just wanna hook on his shoulder. All I need to do first is disconnect Max's hands. So when I sprawl here, his hands break. And what I'm gonna look to do now is take Max over. Where most people struggle on Darce chokes is they try and send this hand all the way up, and they lock the fully locked in Darce here. And then what they wanna do is knock their opponent to their hip. The problem that I've always run into is when I try to do this, even with long arms, my opponent can just post his hand out wide and get big shoulders, and I can't take him over. So instead, what I like to do here is make a strong angle to my right and punch this right hand and connect a 3/4 Nelson here. So if you notice, I have my fingertips above Max's trap, and what this allows me to do is make a nice gable grip and actually pinch my elbows together here. Okay, so this pinching motion allows me to take Max's head through his legs, and even if Max posts his hand, go ahead and post your hand on the floor, he can't stop this motion of his head going through. And now from here, I can start to lock up my Darce, okay? The first variation we're gonna look at is just a simple Darce choke. I'm gonna stuff Max's head. So I go from my gable grip, I'm gonna stuff the head, and I'm gonna reach my right elbow as deep as I can. And now from here, I lock a figure 4 grip. My right hand goes to my left tricep, and my left hand doesn't stay low. It's gonna come up here on Max's top shoulder. And now from here, with my elbow pointed to the floor, I don't wanna collapse in here. With my elbow pointed to the floor, I just simply sprawl as I squeeze my elbows. I get a strong finish. Okay, so we'll look at this from a little bit of a different angle. Again, I post, I sprawl. And now as I create my angle here, look how I reach and I make this 3/4 Nelson. Now I'm gonna pin everything through. I'm gonna rotate you here, Max. What I want when I punch in here is this hand to be nice and deep. And now as I connect this figure 4 grip, I can sprawl my legs, squeeze for a finish here, okay? Now, sometimes it's tough to get that finish if your partner is very broad-shouldered, and what they'll do is try to run their hips away from you. So when I take Max over, I get here, and as I start to reach, Max is running his hips away from me, and I can't seem to get the angle that I want. So a second finish that I like to use on a Darce choke is actually capturing Max's bottom leg. So as I connect my hands here, I'm gonna fall to my left hip. Okay, so my hands are connected in this full Darce. I'm gonna fall to my left hip, and my right leg is gonna capture Max's leg, and I squeeze in here. Okay, so all I'm doing from this angle with my legs is sitting and capturing. As I pull his heel to me, I finish my Darce that way so he can't run his hips away from me. Okay, so that's gonna be our second variation of a Darce choke to capture his leg. Okay, last one. You all right there?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I wanted to give you a break to cough.
It's okay. It was actually okay.
Cool. This one's gonna suck.
I know.
All right, good? So, the third way that I like to finish a variation of a Darce choke, and this is especially if you have shorter arms or if you deal with, again, the burnout, when I squeeze so hard that that lactic acid builds up and then I feel like I can't grapple for another minute. What I like to do here instead, I sprawl, I lock my hands, I take my opponent over. One of my favorite finishes here, instead of locking the full Darce, is actually going to a Japanese necktie, okay? So instead of reaching all the way through for the full Darce, the Japanese necktie is just me keeping my hands in that 1/4 Nelson grip, palm to palm. And so now, when I get here, the first thing that I'm gonna look to do, where I see a lot of people mess this up, the first thing I'm gonna do is actually walk myself into half guard. So what I'm gonna do with Max's leg here, as my hands lock, I just step back into half guard. My knee goes to the floor, okay? If Max locks his legs, great. If he doesn't lock his legs, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna make sure my knee's there. And now the secret to the Japanese necktie, my belly has to go behind Max's head, okay? If my belly falls on top of Max's head, there's not gonna be any choke. So I have to get up on my toes and get this part of my stomach behind this part of his head. And it's gonna look like this. I catch, I pull to make sure that I have a better target here. And as I get up on my toes, my belly comes behind his head. And now from here, I'm gonna curl my heel nice and tight. As I hip in, I just pull my hands up for a strong finish on this Japanese necktie. This is probably the only strangle in jiu-jitsu with your arms that requires little to no squeeze. It is simply this. That's my lift. And that's about the force that I'm using even with an opponent. As a full Darce or rear naked choke, you have to squeeze this super tight. That's not necessary here. I just need to pull up, okay? So again, we're gonna start from our sprawl, 3/4 Nelson. As I take Max over here, I need to walk into half guard. I put my knee to the floor, and now as I pull nice and tight to make, again, a better angle for his head, I wanna get up on my toes, put my belly behind his head. And now from here, I pull my heel, I hip in, and I raise my hands. Okay, I'm gonna rotate Max around just so you guys can see him a little bit better on the camera. With my hands locked and my belly behind. Notice my grip stays the same here, okay? And as I pull my heel nice and tight, all I'm doing is hipping in and raising my hands. And you'll notice the pressure is just this. That's all I need to do. If Max's head was on top of my belly like this, well, now there's no pressure. So remember, the big key when I fall is coming up, coming underneath. And now I pull my heel. I like to even cross my feet, hip in, and I get a strong finish with a Japanese necktie. Guys, if you like front chokes and you want more just like that, you can check out my video on high elbow guillotines right there. And if you want to see the curriculum that I've been doing since I was 6 years old, it's all online right here at getselfdefense.com.